In the 21st century, students increasingly need to search, collect, and analyze digital information. But often they're at a loss in how to do so effectively. A few years ago, a student of mine was searching for primary sources on the internet for movies in the 1920s. She said to me she couldn't find any primary source on movies on the internet. How could that be? Well, she went straight to Google, typed in movies, and didn't stop to think that perhaps movies is not the term that people used in the 1920s. Indeed, they used terms such as pictures, talking pictures, or film instead. One of the ways we can help students is to get them to think both horizontally and vertically in searches. Here's an example of her building a search strategy on the Vietnam War. Related terms are Indochina conflict and American War. To the global community, the conflict is known as the Indochina conflict. For the Vietnamese, it's known as the American War. Armed with those terms, we can develop a very successful search strategy on related terms. If we need to broaden our terms, well, the Vietnam War is an example of the Cold War U.S. foreign policy. If we need to narrow our search, we can focus on soldiers, battles, diplomacy, or other narrower sectors. Before turning to Google, students would be better served consulting an encyclopedia and coming up with relevant and appropriate keywords on their subject. But Google is the #1 student research tool, and so we're going to deal with that reality and help students use Google more effectively by using Google Advanced Search. At the Google homepage at google.com, look for the Advanced Search link just to the right of the text box. So here we are at Google Advanced Search. I'm going to do a search for Jackie Robinson. So in the box where it's marked this exact wording or phrase, I'll type in Jackie Robinson. That's the equivalent of putting quotation marks around search terms. Right below is one or more of these words. These are terms that I'll associate with the search for Jackie Robinson primary sources. You know, a good activity is to ask students what primary sources are. Have them add the terms in the one or more of these words boxes. Here are some examples of primary sources that hopefully your students will think of and include in their searches. I'm going to add memorabilia in the box any of these unwanted words because I don't want commercial websites selling Jackie Robinson memorabilia. I'll set my results per page at 10 and my language at English. Next, I'm going to look at file formats, and if I toggle file type, I'll see if I was interested in, let's say, a PowerPoint on Jackie Robinson, I could search within PowerPoint. If I was interested in statistics, I might look at a spreadsheet, like an Excel spreadsheet. One strategy I recommend is searching within domains, such as a common top-level domain, within a large website with many pages, or even within school systems. One strategy is to search exclusively within .edu domain. However, just keep in mind that those are mostly college and university web pages. You might search exclusively within the .org domain for nonprofit educational organizations, but there's no law forbidding for-profit organizations from using a .org domain. You might want to exclude commercial sites, but if you're looking for current events, news, you might want to include it because there are some excellent news and education-oriented organizations that use the .com. You might want to search within domains, especially large websites, because Google's such a great search engine. For example, Library of Congress. And you might also want to search within school systems. For instance, K12.ca.us is searching within California public schools. So there's a few strategies for you. So I'm going to search for primary sources from Jackie Robinson within the Library of Congress website, loc.gov. Next, I'm going to open up date, usage rights, numeric range, and more, and look at some of the settings. Now, I'd like to know how recent the page was edited, because the more recent a page has been edited, less likely there are broken links, and more likely the information is updated. Next, I'm going to look at the license of the work. In other words, is this work available in the public domain for use, to copy, modify, etc.? This is an academic project that will stay within the confines of the class, so I'm not too concerned, and I could leave it at not filtered by license. Once I've made a determination on license, I'll turn next to where my keywords are. If the keywords show up at in the title of the page or near the top, more likely that page is about my topic. If it's anywhere on the page, it could be a web page on a different topic. Very precise would be in the URL. That would greatly increase the likelihood that the page is indeed about your search term. So keep that in mind. The last is safe search. If you're working with children, especially with young children, you might want to turn the safe search on, and that will help filter out inappropriate adult materials. So here we have search results for Jackie Robinson minus memorabilia within the Library of Congress. On the left, you'll see dates. Those represent the last time this particular page has been updated. You'll also see loc.gov in the domain of all of the results. You'll also see different types of documents that come up in the search, such as a PDF document. You see Jackie Robinson bold in the lines just below the link to the URL, because those are search terms. So that's great, but mind you, we need to evaluate these websites, and that's the focus of our next video tutorial.